I used to think I had everything figured out. A stable job, a cozy apartment, a wife who loved me. But somewhere along the way, I stopped recognizing the man in the mirror. Every morning felt the same. Alarm at 6. Coffee, the silence between Sarah and me thicker than the walls of our apartment, still said I love you. But it had become something automatic, like brushing our teeth or locking the door before bed. Sarah noticed it before I did. She'd ask if I was okay, and I'd just smile and say, just tired, but inside, I was drowning in something I couldn't name. One night, she placed a flyer on the table. Community yoga class. She said it might help with my stress. I almost laughed. Yoga? I wasn't the type, but maybe she was right. Maybe what I needed was to stretch, breathe, and stop thinking for a while. So I went. The studio smelled like sandalwood and calm. Light filtered through big windows, painting the floor gold. And there he was, standing at the front of the room. Hi, he said with a smile. I'm Liam, first class. His voice was steady, grounded. There was something about the way he looked at me. Not through me, not past me, but at me. It was disarming. The first few sessions were hard. My balance was awful, my breathing worse. But Liam never made me feel out of place. He'd walk past, adjust my posture gently, always with a reassuring word. You're stronger than you think, he'd say. I started staying after class, chatting with him about small things, work, travel, stress. He listened like he cared, really cared. That alone felt new. Over the weeks, the classes became my favorite part of the week. I'd tell Sarah yoga was helping, which wasn't a lie. It just wasn't helping in the way she thought. When Liam laughed, it was like something inside me loosened, something I'd kept locked away for years. One evening, he said, Yoga's not about poses, Ethan. It's about finding stillness, even when life isn't. And I remember thinking, maybe that's what I've been missing. Stillness. Truth. That night, I sat in my car for 10 minutes before driving home. I kept replaying his words, his voice, the warmth in his eyes, and then it hit me. I wasn't just grateful. I was drawn to him. I didn't know what that meant yet, but for the first time in years, I felt alive. It started with simple things, texts about class times, sharing playlists, a joke here and there, but soon it became more. We'd talk about our days, our fears, the things we couldn't tell anyone else. Liam had this way of listening, like every word mattered. One evening, after class, he stayed behind as I rolled up my mat. You seem distant lately, he said. Everything okay? I wanted to say yes, but I couldn't. Instead, I found myself telling him everything, how Sarah and I barely talked anymore, how I felt like a stranger in my own life. He didn't interrupt. He just nodded, and when he finally spoke, it wasn't advice, it was empathy. I've been there, he said quietly. I used to think loving someone meant staying. Even when you're lost inside, something in me cracked. That night, as I drove home, I realized I was thinking about him more than I should, the way he smiled. The calm in his voice. It wasn't about attraction, not yet. It was comfort, safety, connection, but I knew I was crossing a line. A few weeks later, during a meditation session, Liam guided us through the theme of truth and acceptance. His words were soft. Let the truth rise, even if it scares you. The heart knows before the mind does. As I closed my eyes, I felt everything, the stillness, the warmth, the pull toward him, and in that quiet, undeniable moment, I knew. It wasn't just admiration. It wasn't confusion. It was love. The realization terrified me. How could I explain this to myself, to Sarah? I had never allowed myself to feel this way. Never even thought I could. I skipped the next few classes. Told Liam I was busy, but my heart felt heavier with every day I stayed away. Sarah noticed. You're quiet again, she said one night. I wanted to tell her the truth, but how could I? One evening I got a message. It was Liam. Hey, haven't seen you in a while. Everything okay? My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a long time before I replied. "Can we talk?" He answered almost instantly. "I was hoping you'd say that." When we met, the studio was empty. He smiled softly. No questions, no pressure, just presence. I told him everything. The confusion, the guilt, the longing. He listened, and then he said, "You don't have to figure it all out tonight. Just be honest with yourself." It wasn't a confession or a declaration. It was a truth shared in silence. That night, as I left the studio, I felt both weightless and terrified, because now, there was no denying it anymore. I was in love with him. The next morning, I woke up beside Sarah. She was still asleep. The morning light tracing her face. She looked peaceful, and I knew. I couldn't keep living a lie. Later that day, I asked her if we could talk. We sat on the couch. The silence between us louder than ever. I told her the truth. Not about names, not about moments, but about me. That something inside me had shifted. That I'd been hiding from who I was. Her eyes filled with tears. But she didn't get angry. She just asked, "Is it someone else?" I hesitated and nodded. There was a long silence. Then she whispered, "I just want you to be happy. Ethan, even if it's not with me, that broke me. Not out of guilt, but gratitude. Because even in heartbreak," she gave me kindness. We didn't end that night, but over the next few weeks, we both knew it was over. We packed our things quietly. She moved in with a friend, and I started spending more time alone. Really alone. I saw Liam once more. At the studio, we sat together after class. Both of us quiet. He reached over and said, "You don't owe me anything. I'm just glad you found your truth." It was the kindest goodbye I've ever had. No promises. No regrets. Just two souls who met at the right time to show each other something real. Months passed. Sometimes, I still drive past the old studio. The windows glow with evening light, and for a moment, I remember that first day. The smell of sandalwood, his smile, the way he helped me breathe again. Sarah and I still talk. We're not the same. But there's peace between us now. She's seeing someone new. I told her I was happy for her, and I meant it. As for me, I'm still figuring things out. But for once, I'm doing it honestly. Music swells softly. Narrator's voice fades into reflection. I thought I was losing everything when I met Liam. My marriage. My certainty. My old self, but maybe that's what it means to grow. To lose who you were, so you can finally meet who you are. Sometimes love doesn't stay. Sometimes it just opens a door, and that's enough.